So you have made complaints about Google to various governments around the world. Now that you see this DOJ suit here in the United States, what's your reaction? Does it go far enough?
Oh, I'm really pleased that the DOJ is taking this action, and we encourage the state AGs to continue with their efforts. At the end of the day, all consumers benefit from a level playing field in search, and hopefully this action will begin to return us to the state. But look, there's always a lot to admire about Google, but we can't let their total dominance in search hurt innovation all across the internet. And I just think it's great to see the DOJ recognizing that as consumers, we all benefit from this level playing field.
Now, Bloomberg has reported that Tripadvisor was cutting hundreds of jobs due to competition with Google. You also said in an earnings call last year that Google has actually gotten more aggressive. How has your business since then been impacted by Google search and Google tactics?
The impact from Google search on our business has been meaningful. Now, we're a very strong company. We've been diversifying away from what was originally just a hotel business into really helping travelers plan a full considered trip with restaurants and attractions and kind of lots of things that make for a great consumer experience. But every time Google preferences their own results when a user who starts to plan a trip on Google, that hurts us and every other travel company in the ecosystem. And the challenge is they've been doing it for quite a few years with more activity, not only more ads on the search result page, but inserting more of their own results, taking the traffic that starts on Google because they want to plan a trip and moves it over to their own products. Whether their own products, whether the users like them or not, it's that self-dealing or that self-preferencing that's really caused this playing field to become quite unlevel in the recent years.
Google makes the argument that consumers now have more choice than ever, more ability to download more apps than ever, that apps like TikTok and Instagram and Spotify have soared without any special deals or special priority in search results. What is your response to that?
Of course, there are some companies that don't need Google or are phenomenal successes on their own. But so much of the great work that happens on the internet, having spawned so many wonderful companies doing so many things, transforming the way we think about information and giving Google really the power to become what it has become in terms of an authority of information. You started Google because Google's great at surfacing everything that's out there on the web. That's a positive in Google's favor. But now, as they continue to keep the user on Google, regardless of whether Google has a great answer or not, that's not good for the whole ecosystem. That pulls traffic away from certainly sites like Tripadvisor, but also everyone else in the travel ecosystem, a shopping ecosystem, maps, local, lots of different categories that all don't get seen anymore because Google thinks it has the best answer for you and can keep you in their ecosystem.
So give us a snapshot of how much bigger you think Tripadvisor could be, how many more employees you could hire, or how many jobs would not have been lost if Google, in your view, operated fairly.
Well, if we look back to Google, call it 10, 15 years ago, there was a set of search results. Someone could type in hotels in Boston. You'd see a couple of ads, paid ads at the top of the page. And then the couple grew to 3 or 4. And then there was some on the right-hand side of the page. And then there was a big section in the middle that was, again, all Google. And all of those things continually push the organic results or the rest of the web further and further down the page. So users now have to scroll and scroll. And on a mobile phone, they often have to scroll 3 or 4 pages worth to get to the first result that isn't kind of owned by Google or paid for by some company to Google. And so whether it's travel or local or just information, if you're shopping, all of that information, it's not that it's gone, it's just getting buried further and further deeper. And so if you think about, what happens if Google is unchecked, well, like they have 4 ads now, they could have 10. They have a page worth of Google's own products, they could have 3. It could be a really difficult time for a consumer to find all of the great innovation, the great products, the great ability for the internet to answer their questions if Google remains an unchecked force, given their complete dominance in search.
So, what are some specific changes that you would like to see? Would you like to see the company broken up? Would you like to see services spun off?
Again, we come at it from the viewpoint of what will remedy this for consumers, travel consumers, local consumers, or people who use search engines. And we're certainly not in a position to know the law well enough or to know what's practical. So we have confidence in the various governmental agencies to be able to devise a good solution that really helps travel, in our case, travelers, but consumers in general, be able to use the services that Google provides, many of which are quite valuable, but use them on a level playing field so that Google doesn't kind of preference their own results, doesn't keep people in the ecosystem. And I'm sure there are many different ways to solve that. Perhaps none of them perfect, but all of them better than what we face today.
Now, some of the critics of this case say it's going to be difficult to prove. If nothing changes, how concerned are you for Tripadvisor's business?
Oh, I think Tripadvisor will be fine. As I said before, we have diversified, we have a unique spot in the ecosystem. We would clearly be much bigger today had not Google been siphoning the traffic that starts on their search engine, that looks for great travel information, for which Tripadvisor is a top-notch, premium, unbiased source. People have loved us for years because we provide all of that great information, and we still do. It's just now much more buried than it used to be. And so if Google were to let up doing that for us and for every other company out there, that would be great for travelers. It would be great for consumers. They'd be able to find what they're looking for. Tripadvisor remains a very strong company in many different areas. But of course, we lack, because of what Google's been doing, we lack some of the funds to be able to invest in yet other innovations that we would love to pursue.